Hello and welcome to DPN TV, and I thought I'd do a little look at the Fritzbox 7530. We've just bought this brand new from an eBay seller, new as completely unused. The reason we bought it is because with our internet provider, the Fritzbox is the router that we received, and actually it's a really nice router to use, and one of the better routers we've received from an internet provider, and we really like it and get on with it. And very shortly after getting it, I found that you could actually, if you purchased another Fritzbox, especially if it's exactly the same type you've got, you can make that Fritzbox the mesh router. So it's something I've been looking out for. But when we first got our Fritzbox about 2 years ago, they were actually quite dear to buy on eBay, and I certainly didn't want to buy a second hand. I wanted to buy a new one, so I've sort of been keeping an eye out, and then this one come up at a much more reasonable price, so we went for it and bought it. And I thought I'd just give you a look round the Fritzbox 7530, and then cover us setting it up as a second router, but as a proper mesh, so there won't be any changing of Wi-Fi codes or anything. The phones will, or whatever's wireless, will just sync across a bit like other systems. So yeah, if it works out, it'll be a really good I follow the process and just give you a little look around it. Now, this comes exactly as our original router came in its box, with the little leaflet, the main leaflet, and then you've got the Fritzbox itself. So here is that box. There's a plastic sticker over it, which I will remove in a minute. You get the power supply with it, a very thin network cable, and also your standard phone line cable for the traditional sort of fast, or I suppose even standard broadband. So the router comes with all of that. You've got a series of lights on top. None of them flash, they appear, or the one I've got, they just come on if they're active, or they're off if they're not active. This router has got 4 Ethernet ports on the back. You've got the ADSL, where your broadband would go in, and you've also got your digital phone socket, and of course your power input. Now we've got full fibre to the premises, so our internet comes from the little open reach box and goes into LAN 1, and that then leaves us with 3 other LANs to go to a switch, or of course straight to your computer. And then if you've not got fibre to the premises, then you'll have either standard broadband or fast broadband, as I call it, which is fibre to the cabinet, and that'll be going in that point there. You have all your information on the bottom like any other router, which I've just taped over there because that's unique for us. Also, you get a more detailed little book there with some extra information. Pretty straightforward to set up this. When it came with our internet provider, you plugged it in and it all worked. I've had a look up on the website of the company that makes this, and they suggest setting it back to factory settings, which I shouldn't be. It's new, it will already be there, but I will do that. So that means connecting this up to a computer not linked to another router or internet, going into the little interface and setting it to factory settings, and then taking the network cable and plugging it into your main router and following a procedure by pushing these buttons. Of course, you've got your power ADSL lights. I assume that will still be on. I think that's your Wi-Fi connection. That's if you've got a digital phone, and that's the one where you can connect other devices, which is what we'll be using for this. And that's an info light, which I think you can set if the router ever gets any sort of updates or information, or I think possibly even answer phone messages. That light will come on. Also on the side, this box has a special digital phone connection for one of their phones. Now, I wouldn't have thought it'd be unlikely you'd use that. I would have thought if you have a digital phone system, which you have to have from your service provider, it won't work unless you're paying for a digital phone. I would have thought most people would have plugged a standard old-fashioned phone into this, or the most popular way of doing it, and it was the way we did it when we were with BT, is you have a DECT phone that tunes into the Wi-Fi signal and works as your phone. But the interface on this is very good, and it's well worth looking up just what can be done with the interface on these routers. So I'm going to pull this off because I don't really think you can run this with this on. I may just pull it back actually and check it works, because obviously a new product, it would have to go back if there was any sort of small problems. We might just pull that back and just check it works. We certainly want access to these lights when we switch it on. So the next thing I'll do is get it set up and use it. As I said, it's a nice little box. It's really, to me, like a traditional router instead of trying to look fancy, but not sort of too intrusive, quite nice. It also has little screw mount holes on there, so you can actually mount it on the wall. And as I understand, the way the Wi-Fi signal comes out is it actually comes out and away. So if you're like on a ground floor, you want it on a surface, so it aims up to the rest of the house, and you're upstairs, I suppose a bungalow, you'd still want it doing that. But if you're upstairs, I would have thought you perhaps want it more on a wall like that, so it's sending the signal out and possibly down into the rest of the house. That's how we're planning to mount this anyway. Well ventilated vents here, and vents at the bottom as well. So yeah, our one doesn't appear to get over hot. So yeah, I'm going to get it rigged up and plugged in, and we'll see the next stage where we got on making this. As I say, a Wi-Fi mesh router, which should certainly help our signal. When we were with BT, their router started to come with discs, and we had one of their discs, and it was part of the sort of, I suppose, contract or subscription at the time. And although I certainly wouldn't have paid out for their discs because they were quite dear, as part of that, it was worth it, and it did actually work well and up our signal. Actually, the signal from this Fritzbox is far better than we've ever had from a router before, but the signal does start to get weak right at the far side of the house, and we don't get signal in the garden either. So this will just up that signal. And also your mobile phone, I think if you set it up, can use the Wi-Fi when you're in your house. So if you've got a second point, you're never going to get low signal when the phone is using the internet to make calls, or if you're using Skype or WhatsApp, it'll give you a good, much better signal. Right, so now we've got the router out the way. Here is the power supply, the transformer, and it's one of those ones that whatever country you're in, they supply you with the right end. So hopefully that's the end you've got, and then you just connect that into this transformer, so it will plug into your correct power supply. Right, so that's that connected in there and nice and strong. So we'll get that plugged in into the socket, which I'm sure I don't need to show you, and I'll show you that plugged into the back of the router. Right, so I've now got the Fritzbox plugged in with its power lead, and I've got an Ethernet cable into port 1, which goes directly to the computer, so no internet connected. This is just so we can make sure it's on factory settings, which is a brand new box. I'm going to presume it is, but I'll follow the instructions that we're using. If I just show you what they are. their instructions that are printed off from the company who makes the Fritzbox on how to turn a second Fritzbox into a mesh repeater, and we're just following through those. On my computer I've gone to Fritzbox, which brings you just into their sort of user interface for the Fritzbox, and because this computer's not connected to the internet, just to that box, it's the only thing you can access anyway, and it's asking me for the password, which I'm going to enter now. Alright, so I've entered the password and it's asked me to select my country. Now it appears to be doing some kind of an update, and I don't know whether because we're not connected to the internet that's going to cause a problem, but we'll just have to follow it through and hope we can get to the screen where you can reset it to factory settings. Right, so the box has restarted, then asked me if it wanted to be able to send diagnostics, and I just unticked and clicked OK because we're going to set it back to the factory settings anyway. Then the instructions are going to click on System, Backup, and then go to Factory Settings. And then over here we've got load the factory settings. If we just come over here, load the factory settings. So if I click on that, and so I'm going to click OK. Right, so it looks like now we haven't got a telephone, so I've just got to push any button on the box to confirm. So I assume that confirmation has gone in. Yeah, so we've got to click OK now. And the Fritzbox will be set to its factory settings, so we'll just wait for that now. Right, so we're now back where we started, asking us to select a language. I'm not quite sure I necessarily needed to do that, but I suppose it's always best to be sure, being it's a box that is appears to be brand new, but has been sold by sort of an eBay seller, I think, that specialise in reconditioned and one-off new things. I think it was best to be sure that it was on the factory settings, just in case they tested to see if it was working first. So now it's been completely reset back to those factory settings, and it's what the instructions tell you to do. So now what I should do is follow the next stage, which is to plug it into the master router, and I'll show you pushing us the buttons. So if we just come over to the router, and you probably notice we went a little bit dark during that. There was a power cut, so lucky we had a UPS battery backup. I was really mucked up doing this, so yeah, one of the odd situations where it proves it's worthwhile, and sort of caught on cameras as well. So yeah, what we do is I think I'll probably switch it off and then plug it into the router first, and then we'll do that procedure, and hopefully it doesn't muck the internet up whilst we're doing it. And I think what we have to do is push and hold the connect button on this one, and then push it on the master router, and they should then link up. Hopefully it all works as the instructions say. Right, so I've now plugged this in via a network cable to the main master Fritz router, And what our instructions say to do is to push and hold the connect button till it starts flashing. Others may flash, and within 2 minutes go down and push the same button and wait for that to flash, and it should then connect. So we'll do that. Now it says you can do it in any order, but it's better to do it this way. That's flashing, so let's go down and do it on the other one. Right, so as you've probably seen, pushing the button on the Fritzbox, we want to become the repeater, and then on the main one doesn't seem to work. So I've gone back to plugging our Fritzbox that we want to be the repeater back into the computer, with this computer not connected to the internet, so we can access the interface on that particular box, because I noticed there was an option to make it a repeater. So perhaps if we click on that and then plug it in, it will configure itself as the repeater. We give that one a go, but because we reset it back to its factory settings, I assume it needs to go through this process. Well, I've selected the language and go through that, unless that's what's been blocking it from doing it with the button. But I'm going to try it. This one, I'll show you that and see if that works. Right, so I'm back in the interface now, logged in. I've gone to Home Network, Mesh settings, and I'm going to make this as a mesh repeater. And I'll just have a look through the settings, see if we need to change anything else. Right, so just had a little look at these settings, and I've clicked it to adopt from the LAN, because that's what we're going to do. And also I'm going to click here to use all the settings from the Mesh Master as well, because to me that's what you will want. I'm going to click apply. Now I'm assuming it'll give me a chance to now then plug it into the Mesh Master and adopt to those settings, or maybe we'll have to push the button system again. Let's see when this is complete. So it's come back to that screen, and those settings I asked for are all still ticked. So if we come out to network, which you'll probably tell me there isn't a network there at the moment, I'm going to assume. Well, I appear to have lost everything, but if I come down here, both lights are now permanently lit, so I'm going to turn it off and re-plug it in and hope it resets to the router and becomes a mesh for us. Right, so hopefully we're getting somewhere. It's now appeared in the interface on the main Fritzbox. So I've plugged this computer back into the main network via the wire through the LAN port of the master Fritzbox, gone to Home Network Mesh, and it's appearing there, but I'm not quite sure if it's ready. So I'm going to see what we need to do now, but at least we're getting somewhere by doing it that way. Right, so I've clicked on this little exclamation mark, clicked there, and that's brought me up to this page, which has given me a really good help topic, and it tells me when I'm connecting the Fritzbox to another Fritzbox. Now what I need to do is do the procedure we were doing before, but it says start with the Mesh Master and then go on to push the repeat, or the Fritzbox you want as the repeater, and they should connect. And that's only if this little mesh symbol isn't there, which on ours it isn't. So I'm going to try that now. And that appears to have worked because the mesh symbol has appeared, and already 2 of our devices have connected to it. So it looks like that's the procedure. You've got to make it the repeater in the settings as I've showed you, then go through the procedure of pushing the buttons on the actual devices, and you've then got your second router as a mesh, and you've amplified your signal. So yeah, we're very pleased with that, and it seems to be working very well. As I say, the devices have connected, they're getting a good signal, and we're doing it where it's getting the signal through a LAN connection and then sending the Wi-Fi out as a proper repeater. So hopefully this has helped you and it's been of interest to you. As always, thank you very much for watching us here at DPN TV.